So yeah, there's a little difference this time in that there's actually gonna be like the newest assignment, the B3 assignment, as I'm showing on screen here, is gonna not be like as complex as it needs to be because the B3 has CSV files and error handling, or as they thought, like throwing exceptions, which is not gonna be needed. So I'm just gonna go through one assignment, one B3 assignment, and I'm gonna basically tell you guys what you need from it and what you don't need from it. And then I'll also show you like the past papers because we do have one past paper with like the full thing on screen, like the full solution. And I'm gonna try to explain like, okay, this is what it's gonna be like. And I'll go, of course, I'll go through the entire code and tell you what to do. All right, good. I assume we're good. Any questions before we start? You can type or speak up. Like I don't really care about that. Like speak up if you want, like type if you want. Oh yeah, and it can be any question about anything, like the lab exam. Actually, I don't know much about the lab right now. I have to review that, but like the upcoming feedback and the theory, I think we can start working on the theory stuff like right after the feedback, because apparently it's harder than the PL one, at least for the theory part. All right, I think we should just get started right now. So first of all, like I'm gonna show you what you don't need. I'll go through it again, of course, but first of all, like if you see anything in the assignment that says in the assignment on the GitHub that says throwing method must throw an exception, this and that, or it says something in the main function, like there's going to be this. The method consumes two command line arguments, the path of the input CSV and the output CSV. This you don't need. You don't need this and you don't need this. Basically, you ignore, for the main method, just ignore anything with like a detailed errors and something like that, and just go for from the third on, like the third task onward, like this one. See? And for the input and output, we're gonna do both of these. So we get at the standard output and the alternate output. Usually it has to be in a different file, like you see. This one is supposed to be in the output.csv file. In the feedback test, we're gonna have both of them in the same command line. So they're both standard output. They're both are. So no files needed. All right, now I'm gonna go through airports B3 just to give you guys a taste. Again, like ask any question. If you need anything, just ask. You can't join? Wait, that's a bit concerning. Someone's saying they can't join. Okay, I'll just have to share this again, I guess. Hold up. Just a little bit, guys. Copy invite link. Here we go. All right, let's get back onto it because we can't really afford to waste time right now. It's ticking. We're gonna get kicked out. So first of all, there's the package aviation. So you guys know how to make packages already. I won't go through it. Make a new package called aviation, and inside of that, put an airport class because we're defining that first. First, we have the string name field. At this point, it's all familiar stuff. I'll try to go through it quickly. String name. City we'll skip, okay? Because it's an enum, which is, I'm going to explain that in like, 15 seconds. I'm going to be done with this very fast. Int runways and int time. Now, enum. Enum is basically a special class in Java. It's we're gonna have to define it before we define the field city because it's in a special. We have to define this enum class that represents it first. It's basically a collection of constant values, which is basically like all you need to know is that it's kind of like a list of what the values can be. Like if you have the city enum here, we have 4 fields. So the city field can realistically only be in one of these 4. If it's not, yeah, it's not valid. So firstly, there's a keyword here, static nested. What does static nested mean? Static nested class means that it is inside of another class, its superclass, and it has the static keyword, to put it simply. So public static enum. Like usually when we initiate a new class, we have to type static like this, public static class, but here we have to do enum because it is a special class in Java. And you have to, it says city, so we have to do city. There we go. And basically the enum, we're gonna have to define all of the fields as it's mentioned in the GitHub. So we have to copy them in, the quickest way to do it. So these are all the possible values that an object or a field in the enum, like that's part of the enum can be. Like it can only be in one of these four. So London, Istanbul. Let me start copying and pasting again. Istanbul and Barcelona. Think of like, and I'll tell you the difference of a static nested class and just a normal nested or an inner class later. Now we have to define a special field for it. This is gonna be the string field, a string called name. This string field is basically gonna help us put in a, what is it? Is a parameter the right term for it? Yeah, you have to, by the way, you have to do like a semicolon at the end so it terminates the field. The string name is like an attribute of these enums, and you can assign each of them to an enum. So for Zurich, we're gonna have the name of it is gonna be just Zurich, but in a string format instead. And for London, it's gonna be London as represented over here. As you can see, it's not always gonna be like this. There's gonna be a difference. Like in the past papers we have, it's not just like the smaller version of the words. It's like whole different things. So the name field is, you can think of it as like a special trait, like an attribute of each field that's like linked to it. So as right now, there's like a bunch of errors because you have to have a constructor for this. You have to actually generate a constructor as we have right here. Yeah. Define a constructor. There we go. And as per the instruction, we have to make the field private and read only. I skipped over that. Private. Fine. Yeah, nothing new so far. So I'm just gonna, again, like if you have any questions, just ask me. But since the code is longer, I'll try to go a bit faster on the parts that I know you guys can do. So now the sixth one is interesting. You have to guarantee the name field of each value gets the corresponding name field by invoking the constructor. So yeah, so this is basically what we're doing here, because we have to assign like each of the name fields to a value, like in the enum value, so we can know like which one is tied to. That's basically what 6 is. I skipped over it by doing it first, but like in order, this is where you put in Zurich, London, Istanbul in like the brackets. The 7th one is a method. Like this method is interesting because it is a static method. Whenever you see a static thing, just put in static and make it public as well, if it's not specified. Public static parse city. Actually, no. Yeah. Because it is a method, you have to put in the class name first, and then you put in the method name. Remember that. Like you can't just say parse city and it's done. Like other languages, you have to put in, like as always in Java, you put the class name first. So we have public, we have a method. What it's doing is basically, it is comparing the string that is being given. There's a string argument for this, by the way. String line. A string argument, and then it's gonna return, if it's the same, if it matches one of the values, like the string field of one of these values, it's gonna return the value itself. So let me just demonstrate. So this dot name, because there's only name field and the line. So basically it's comparing the line like that we put in as an argument, as a parameter, and it's gonna, if it's equal to one of these, by the way. I skipped over a part. Hold up. Or okay, I'm gonna have to explain the for loop too, because a lot of you probably don't know what this means. The values is like a pre-made array kind of. It's basically like it's basically a collection of all of these values. Like the things we defined: Zurich, London, Istanbul, Barcelona. This is basically it's calling on like the values of those. It's calling on like the fields that we have here. So this is an array of all of these things. See? So that's why like, and the city is a representative object that represents these things. So when we say, it's not this, by the way, city, I'm making mistakes, city.name, because again, like the city object is the thing that we're testing here, but the values is the thing that actually, has these city objects. So we return the city itself. So we're testing whether the name, so the blue letters, whether the green letters, whether these things are equal to the line. And if they're equal, it means that we have to return these actual constant values, like the enums here. See? So we're returning these things. And if we do not find anything that matches, we return null. This is where you usually have to do the argument throwing. But again, anything with like an exception or a mismatch or anything like that, don't care about it. It's not gonna come. And that's yep. And finally, we need a toString. A toString is simple. We need to format it so we can return the city values as a string, which we already have. So we just return the name because the name is effectively the stringified version of the enum value. So we're returning this. So we're just gonna return these as a string. That's all. So we're gonna start noting things now. Name. There we go. And that's all for the enum part. So let me reiterate. The enum is a special class with a set of constants that define like the possible values like an object in the enum can take. And we added a name field to it. So it has a name that's tied to each of these fields. And the public static parse city is so that we can compare whatever parameter we get, like a string parameter we get, to compare it and see which one of which one of the cities does it correspond to. And then we have the toString that returns like just the name as a string. So I'm pretty sure like my terminology is not on point. Probably isn't, not at all. Like if any of you are good at programming, you probably notice it, but yeah, for our purposes, I want to make it more simple. And now finally, we can go back up here to the airport field and we can just make the field because it is an enumerated type that we have to create first. You cannot have it without the enum. So you create the enum first, then you go back and make the city. And we have defined a constructor parameter for all the fields. I'll skip these steps, by the way, because they won't be in the exam either. If you check the PDF that I gave everyone on the group, that I posted on the group, the second feedback does not have these things because they're kind of useless. Like he's never going to check them. So he doesn't even bother putting in managed requirements. You don't need this. I'm going to skip them. We're just going to do the CSV constructor. So we do a constructor like always. You guys know this part. It's the string tokenization. So we get a line. No, not new. What am I doing? Split. And then we split it by the semicolon because that's what's given to us. The semicolon is almost always got to be the semicolon. So, but of course you can always double check your work. Name equals 0 dot city equals city dot parse city and then tokens. The reason we're doing this is, again, like I explained the function already, we have a line here that we need to match. So we need to match it with one of these stringified name fields so that we can get the actual value of the enum. Because you can't just like do it, oh, it's tokens 1, because it's a string. It's a string value. It's not matching to any of these. It only matches to one of these names that we've given to the enum. So that's why we have to do the parse city thing. This is the purpose of that function. If you don't have it, it will fail. Finally, yeah, runways. You see, like the logic is exactly the same with the integer thing. It's just that we have to actually make it ourselves, We have to make the enum, make the function. Meanwhile, with integers, we already have the built-in parse int function. There we go. Now we go back up. We guarantee that fields are non-visible and name and city are read-only. So private final name and city. but in private only for the runways and time. There you go. And he's not gonna ask you to get getters and setters, by the way. I'll do it just to, just as a formality, but it will not be in the exam either. If you check the past papers, it wasn't in the exam then. You don't need it at all. I just want to make the warnings go away. Hash code and equals, not gonna be in it either. I think. Yeah, I think they weren't in that either. Again, like he cut down on a lot of things. I'm just gonna generate it for fun. Equals and hash code. Boom. Name, city, or equal. There we go. And finally, we have the comparable, implementing the comparable. The comparable interface is completely different from, it's different from the comparator interface. Don't mix them up in the exam, guys, because they serve different functions and they have different built-in methods that we can override. So don't mistake them. It is actually important that the comparable is up here and in the class that we're about to define. Like it's gonna be comparator. So don't mix them up, please. And then of course you can override it. By the way, I forgot to mention in the enum, but you can't fuck up the names either. If you fuck it up, like the program's gonna crash. My friend did that. So try not to do it. Like just copy and paste in the fields and everything. Don't try to write anything yourself and like risk getting an error. Dot equals runways dot runways. There. If you find me going a bit too fast, then feel free to stop me. I don't think it's that fast though. Comparator natural order. So what is this thing? So basically the reason, like usually when we're doing integers, we can do plus and minuses, right? We can either plus and minus the values of O and this itself, or we can do integer compare and then add a plus or minus. But the reason we're not doing that here is because we need to implement, as he says here, the natural order instances by using the comparable interface. So we have to use the natural order and reverse order. Natural order is ascending, by the way. With the normal this runway O runways, it is ascending. Ascending. Oh wait, I have to do it descending actually. Holy crap. I just noticed that. Yeah. So we have to do reverse order. This is what reverse order means. Descending. So yeah, just don't confuse it for yourself trying to switch around this and O runways. Just compare them normally and then use natural order or reverse order. Like if you do it any other way, you might you might not fuck up, but there's an equal chance that you will confuse yourself and the sorting might be wrong. So I just recommend just do it normally in the normal order, this and then O, and then just use natural and reverse order whenever needed. And finally, we have to name turn objects.compare. That's why we have to do objects.compare, by the way. We can't do integer.compares anymore because if not, we can't do the comparator reverse order thing. I don't know if I repeated myself. I probably did. Name dot natural order because it is ascending, so it's natural order. Remember that. Okay, that's done. We still have 2 more classes to define. I'm gonna go to defining the MegaAirport class. So here I'm gonna explain what does it mean by top level and package visibility. So we know that the MegaAirport is a subclass, as they call it, a subclass of the airport. So it extends from the airport. It's like a child of the superclass, the mother class, the airport. So to do an inherited class or a subclass, we extend it. We do the extend keyword, and then we put in the class we want to inherit from. So that's it. And for every one of these class, and you see how I'm defining it, like outside of everything, outside of even the public airport class. That's what it means by a top level class. A top level class basically means that it's either in its own Java file or straight up just in as another class that's outside of the the class inside of the file. So it's outside of airport. So it's top level. And the enum is not a top level class. It's static nested because, it's nested inside of it. And a non-static nested class is called an inner class. But yeah, we don't really deal with inner classes. So we don't have to care about that. But remember, static nested means it's static and it's inside of the class. And a top level class just, yep, you see the issue here. And I have to go a bit quicker. But that's basically what it means by top level. And package level visibility means the default. So you don't add anything, just class. Not public, not private, not anything. That's package level. So I'll define the following field, which is int terminals. It needs that. And to get rid of the error, we have to actually generate a constructor. Because it's an extended class, you kind of have to do it. Select none. See, we just gotta select none, and the error disappears, but we have to still add in the terminals line. This is also our CSV, by the way, our CSV line, and it's gonna tokenize it. So to do tokenization, we do the exact same thing as we did before. String arrays tokens equals line.split, and we're split by this. And this is gonna be equal to tokens integer parse, I mean. Because it's an integer, you have to parse it. Tokens. And the easiest way to do it is to count what these are here. Because remember, like I'm gonna explain the super thing later. Like super means part of the super class. So we have the line parameter from the super class that we inherited. So the tokens is gonna be like split into like 5 fields in total. It's gonna be name, city, runways, time, and then terminals. You see down here in the input, in the case that it has a MegaAirport, it is 5 total fields: name, city, runways, mega, time, and terminals. So we have to put in this as 4. You can also do another thing that the teacher does, but this will be enough for you. That's how you basically like count it. They just count this like and add another one at the end. So that's how we tokenize it. Let me go back up. All right. And we have to guarantee that the field is not visible and read only. Again, I always ignore that. Final. There we go. And we have to define a getter method. Maybe he'll ask you to do it. Maybe he won't. I'll just do it. That's all. And then the final thing we have to do for this class. Override the inherited toString to return the string representation that we will use in the main method later. So we actually have to do a normal string format here, but there will be a little difference. That is, we have to add in an S as well. You see, right, there's only one field that we really defined in here, which is the terminal, but we still need this because we're gonna do super. So the super class, we're taking from the main class toString method, and then we do the terminals. So this is gonna give us the whole line, because if we do only terminals, it's gonna return only the terminals value, not every other value, which we need, by the way, because the output, it has all 5. So we have to do super toString. So we access, you see this, the toString value of the mega class, the super class, which is airport. It's gonna take from this class. It's gonna take the line that it returns, because a toString method, no, it's not that. That's not the toString method. What am I doing? Wait, where is it? What the, did I forget it? Oh, I did forget it. All right. Screw me, guys. I forgot the toString method of the main class. Oh my god. Can't believe I actually forgot it. No, I didn't. I didn't fuck up. Yeah. S. And name city dot toString, and then you need a terminal. No, it's runways time. So it's gonna take from this toString method, because the toString returns a string, and it will like put it in the place of this S. So the S is representing the super, like the string that you're gonna get from the toString method of this class. of the main class. So this thing, the string that you're gonna get from this thing. And then we add in the terminals behind it. So that's why we have to do the super two string thing. And that's why there's an S here. There we go. I think we are done with this class. The final thing that's new for you guys, like new technically, B2 has it too, but the only thing that's new is the airport comparator. Because we have to compare with two different versions. We have to make two versions of the comparison, which are different things. So again, this is a static nested class inside of the airport. Remember what I said about static nested. Basically, it's inside of the airport class, and it's a static class. So public static airport comparator man, leave me alone. Yep, I forgot the class keyword, sorry, because it is a class. And then inside of it, we can implement, it says for us to implement the comparator. So we're gonna do that, comparator, not comparable, by the way. And we're comparing airline airport to each other. So we do airport like always. If we're comparing something else, maybe it'll be something else, but we're working with one class here. And then we generate, we override the method. And as you can see, this is the main difference. Java util comparator. Comparator has way more functions than the comparable, interface, and it's mainly used to work as its own class and everything. So we're gonna compare airport 0, 01 to 02. It's gonna be two different airports. So we have to do 01. It's not this because this is a separate class and we cannot access the fields of the main class here. So we do 01, 01 dot transfer time ascending. So 01 time, 02 time, then return objects. It's the same as before, so I just copy paste the rest. Okay, compare 01 dot time, 02 dot time, then comparator natural order because it's ascending. So the rest I'll just take from this second one that I made. I did make a second one. Just take this. C. Control V. There we go. I don't have to do the rest of the thing. It's the same as the compare to method. You're just defining an alternate way of making it in its own static nested class. This is going to be used later. So did I copy an extra semi one? I did. Yep. There we go. It's gone. And we're done with that basically. Again, like, I don't know, like we may have like 3 minutes left. Yep, we have 2 minutes left actually. Holy crap. So I might leave the main method to like the second half of our meeting. So yeah. Do you guys have any question about the code we wrote so far? We're gonna continue like the main method later. I'll just write out the keyword first, that's all. But yeah. Because we have to make a static nested class inside the airport. So we just do main and it will be, the main method will be there. All right. Any questions about the code? Not the main function? Anything? No, it's good. You won't have to define constructor requests. Yep. If I'll show you the past papers later, but in the past paper, he didn't ask for getters, he didn't ask for setters, he didn't ask for the two like useless constructors, only the CSV one. And actually about a file exception and handling, I could explain it. I could like, but that's the thing though. It's not in the purview of like what we're gonna study. So I don't want to like overburden you guys with like useless information. Because he said it like, from the mouth of the devil, there won't be file handling and exceptions. This has been confirmed like many times already. So I don't think there's any use talking about it. We'll talk about it for the final exam and everything, but right now, probably no. And it's not exactly, hard topic. You can ask about it later or do your own research. It's not really that hard to figure out what it does, So anything else? less than 1 minute left. So I'll probably see you guys again in the second half of the meeting. I will explain all of the differences in the main function. And the main function is different, by the way, because we have two classes we have to work for. So yeah, there's a difference. Right. I hope you guys found it useful. Oh, the code is already in the group, by the way. Like, you see me working off a different file here.